It's red and flashy, it's fast, and it's furious. It's the one and only Polski Fiat. One of the reasons why my grandfather immigrated from Poland to the United States back in the 1980s was because he was tired of seeing everyone driving the same car. Oh god. That car he was referring to was, of course, the Polski Fiat 126p. With over 4.6 million little Fiats produced from 1972 to the year 2000, it had a lifespan of a mighty 28 years. If you ever visit Poland, and I know you won't, you will without a doubt see one or many of these on the road, especially in the smaller towns and villages, such as my family's hometown, Jasło. Now, what does maluch mean? In Polish, it means little child, or the small one, and it is certainly a fitting term, because this car is perfect for a small child. You can also call it Mały Fiat, which means little Fiat in Polish. Doesn't it sound cute? Now, when it comes to getting into an accident with this car, I am not sure if this is the safest car you want to drive your family in. But you certainly won't be doing any speeding with this thing, which is just an added safety bonus. With just a small 600cc two-cylinder engine, these mighty Fiats have a top speed of about 60 miles an hour, or 140 kilometers an hour if you are lucky. But by the time you have reached 60 miles an hour, you will have already arrived at your babcia's house, who has Rosso waiting for you on a Sunday afternoon. This Mały Fiat is completely indestructible, which is why many of these are still on the road these days. They are also easy to work on because of their basic layout and design. As you can imagine, these cars were produced during the communist times of Poland, so it was essential that the Fiat 126p have a basic design, so it would be easy for the average Bogusz to fix the car themselves if it ever broke down. I have always been fascinated with this car, because these Fiats are a cultural icon in Poland. Back in the communist times, almost everyone had either a Fiat 126p or the bigger brother, Duży Fiat, otherwise known as the Fiat 125p. Both of these cars were an essential commodity during the communist times in Poland, and if you were lucky enough to afford one and eventually get one, a year-long waiting period for some, you've made it in life. You were the big shot in your little town or village, and if Tom Hanks loves it, how could you not want one? I first drove the Fiat 126p in Poland back in 2014. My best friends knew I was a car enthusiast, especially for old and odd cars like the Mały Fiat, so they made it a mission to fulfill one of my dreams of driving one.
Fast and Furious!
Driving the Mały Fiat was like driving a poor, very poor man's Porsche. It had a rear engine that roared, almost as if it was coughing. This Fiat was also air-cooled, much like an old Porsche, so you got that extra sports car's touch. It is certainly not a Lamborghini, but it will surely put a smile on your face when you see an old classic like the Mały Fiat. It's also hilarious to see 4 grown men trying to fit and sit in this little car. When I drove with my friends, all 4 of us somehow managed to fit into this little car. It truly looked like a kielbasa fest on the inside. We also pretended to race on the streets with other cars we saw, much like the Fast and Furious movies. I wonder when they will include a Mały Fiat in their movies. Maybe in their next movie they'll go to Poland? Being in such a small car like the Mały Fiat, it makes you appreciate the little things. Literally, instead of being distracted by those fancy giant touchscreen TVs in newer cars, or fumbling through your phone while driving, you are so focused on the road with the Mały Fiat because your life depends on it, and instead of playing with your phone, your Fiat doesn't have Bluetooth or even a working radio. Instead, you are forced into having many wonderful conversations with your friends and family when you are driving on the road, which is priceless. Having 4 people at once in a Maui Fiat, you definitely become more intimate and closer to each other during long road trips. You laugh about how ridiculous driving this thing is, with so many people inside, but you don't care, as you share some open sandwiches in cabanossi and laugh away with your loved ones as you enjoy the breeze and the lovely aroma of the Polish countryside. At the end of the day, you're having a lot of fun driving in a Maui Fiat, and that's what matters the most.